We know NoCo. From Town Square Media, this is Tuned Into NoCo. I'm Ashlee Meehleis. Hi, welcome back to Tuned Into NoCo. Next up, we got a full house here, guys. We have Loveland Poet Laureate Lynn Kincanon, City of Loveland Public Art Manager Suzanna Janssen, and Loveland Public Library's Adult Services and Collection Services Manager Daniel Tate with us. You guys, welcome in. First off, thank you all for being here. It's great having you on the show. Let's talk about Loveland Art and Public Places. What do you guys do?
Well, Loveland Art and Public Places is the public art program for the city of Loveland. And 1% of city capital projects that are valued at $50,000 or more, 1% of that money goes into a special reserve fund, which is for the acquisition, the display, and the maintenance of artwork within our public spaces throughout town. So you'll see that in our sculpture gardens, and you'll see that in our city buildings and along our streetscapes as well. And of course, in our city parks.
That's great. And you guys are partnering with quite a few organizations to put on the 10th annual Art for Advocacy project. Can you tell our listeners what this project is?
Yes, the Art Advocacy project has two different components. The first, and we call that TAP, so it's a long name, so we just narrow that down to TAP. We have both TAP 3D as well as TAP 2D. 3D came about in 2009, and that is our on-loan sculpture program that we have in downtown Loveland every year. In 2012, we expanded when one of our Visual Arts Commission members had the idea. It's Angela Canada Hopkins, who's a local artist. She thought that we should probably have a display that also featured our 2D artists in town.
Yeah.
So that's how TAP 2D came about. And since then, we've been partnering with the Loveland Public Library, which is nice enough to host us every year in the main Galleria, and we have a great partnership. And it just so happened that this year it expanded when Lynn Kincanon approached Art and Public Places and indicated that she thought a collaboration between the library and Art and Public Places would be a great way to feature our local poets. And we, of course, jumped on that right away. We thought that was a very exciting idea.
Yeah, definitely. Lynn, do you want to talk a little bit more about joining this project?
The Laureate program has worked with many different organizations with ekphrastic art, which is art that is inspired by other people's artworks or music or dance or anything artistic in that manner. And I'm always in the library, especially with Daniel. We've been working closely together on some projects, and that artwork just drew me in, thinking that in the library would be a perfect marriage to have poems and artwork hang together in the library. So that's how it all came about. And the TAP program is a contest program. It is where artists send in their work and they are chosen by judges. And this year we really didn't have time to send out a contest, but we're thinking of doing that next year to get even more participation. But this year, a lot of the poems are written by the poets in the Loveland Poet Laureate Program Committee. So cool. And a couple other ones. But so we started it out, and next year we'll probably expand it to be more of a contest and also have some monetary awards as well.
Awesome. That's really cool. Now, Daniel, when will this kick off at the public library?
Yeah, so the artwork and the poems, they are already up and on display. We've had people coming in and enjoying both. It is so wonderful to have that poetry there. It really does add that extra element for people to read poetry and to think about different interpretations. So that's already up. People can come in and see that. It's just in our main Galleria area, so you don't have to walk very far into the library to see it. And then we're having this synergy art reception and poetry reception or reading. That's going to be on April 15th. So that's a Saturday, and that's going to go from noon to 2. And then we're looking to have the artists and the poets speak, artists talking about their work, poets reading the poetry 2 times during that 2-hour event. So wow. If you miss it that first time around at around 12:30, they'll come back again. I believe we're looking at maybe around 1:30 for that second time.
How fun.
Yeah. So folks can just come in, get to meet the artists, get to meet the poets. It's always fun to have those interactions and learn more, ask questions. And it's a wonderful event because as the library is collaborating with TAP 2D and the Loveland Poet Laureate program. Now we really get to bring that connection for the public also to get to kind of have that interaction and see things. So it's really making the library that community space where people are gathering and connecting. It's very exciting.
Yeah. And you guys, like you said, you're having 7 artists and 7 poets. Now, question for you, are these all local?
All of the poets are local. Yes.
Awesome.
Mhm.
That's so
Mostly,
great.
they're all Loveland poets. We chose it that way to just stay local with Loveland.
Wow.
This year, they are all local. Yes.
How was that selection process? What did you guys have to go through?
Well, with the poets, I just chose them.
Yeah.
And those that agreed, because it was a very brief timeline that they had to go to be given the artwork and to write the poems. Most people need more time than this. So the 7 people that I chose are mostly on our committee and agreed to it, maybe under a little pressure. I'm not sure, but they are glad that they did it. And it turned out beautifully. The poems are really lovely.
Oh, that's
and
so great.
really are inspired by the work of art. They're not a direct interpretation in any way of the art. They're just inspired by it. It's
awesome.
It's quite lovely.
That's really cool. And I know that you guys have quite a few pieces, but is there any piece in particular that you'd like to tell our listeners about?
Oh, I don't want to say favorites, honestly. We all have our own personal favorite. I will tell you that there is a piece called Sunrise. I believe forgive me if I get the title wrong, but it's Sunrise Mesa Sunrise or Mesa Desert. That is by Gordon Middleton. That keeps getting a lot of attention just as people were walking by. We actually had Angela that I mentioned earlier, Angela Canada Hopkins was working with me on that installation, and we had 3 people come by and stop us and ask specifically about that piece. But I know that everybody who walks into the library is going to have their own unique favorite.
Absolutely. Well, for those listening, definitely head to the Loveland Public Library on April 13th. They're going to be having a reception from noon to 2 where their artists will speak. Everyone is welcome to attend. There's going to be 7 artists and 7 poets featured. It should be an awesome time. If you'd like more information, you can head to lovlib.org/events. Again, that's lovlib.org/events. Now, you guys have done this for 10 years now, which is awesome. Let's talk about last year. How did that go?
Oh, last year was a very, very strong display as well. And I'll tell you a little bit about our process. First of all, I just want to say it's a really excellent opportunity for artists who may now just be painting at home or painting in their basement and haven't shared their artwork with the world. It's a great way to get experience in exhibiting their artwork. And we use the callforentry.org website. And from there, we had a jury that was composed of members of the Visual Arts Commission, members of the Poet Laureate Project, the library, and also members of the public who juried all of these artworks. So it also is a juried show.
Okay.
And every year we have a lovely display. We set it up in late February, and it comes down the following February.
Wow. That's so great. And everything, like you said, it's a lot of the art is already on display right now.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. What are your guys' hours at the public library?
So Monday through Thursday, we are open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then Friday and Saturday, we're open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that event on the 15th on that Saturday will be open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, great. Now, I know we kind of talked about how you guys selected the poets, but what about the art that's on display right now? What's the process for that? Do people submit and then you guys go through it?
Yes, that's correct. And we have a number of different partners that I mentioned. So there were about 9 people who served on that jury. There are at least 2 rounds of voting for that project until we narrow it down to those seven spots. I wish we had 30 spots available, but we don't. We have limited space, but I think we also have a really incredible display of artwork.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, you're going to be displaying 2D and 3D art. What kind of 3D art do you guys have?
Well, we have 9 sculptures right now that are in downtown Loveland. They're easily accessible any time of day or night. They're on the street. And this year, we're having this display up for 2 years because we believe there'll be some construction happening downtown next year. So we lengthened our display a little bit this year. And For TAP 2D and 3D, artists are paid an honorarium for the loan of their artwork. So it's a great way to earn a little extra cash as well as having your artwork on display.
Absolutely. And speaking of, that's what I was actually just going to ask. What about donations? If somebody would like to donate to the art or the cause, can they?
They can donate to Art in Public Places, certainly. We do take donations. Generally, I would just encourage people to give me a call. My email is Suzanne.Janssen, that's with 2 S's, at cityofloveland.org. And I'm happy to chat with people about that donation process. Right now, we have over 300 pieces in the city's collection that have been donated. So that's pretty rare for a public art program anywhere in the United States.
On April 15th, are you guys in need of volunteers?
Sure, come on down. We'd be happy to have volunteers that day.
Awesome. What about other opportunities? Are there other ways that the community can get involved with you guys?
Well, I can tell you that we always are looking for people to help us jury our artwork. We do have that application that is at the Art in Public Places website, which is lovelandpublicart.org. Urge people to reach out. We would love to have volunteers.
Definitely. Well, you guys, you heard that. Go to lovelandpublicart.org if you're interested in getting more involved. It sounds like such a great event. Kind of switching gears here, though. I'd like to talk about each of you. How did you guys get involved in this project? What's your story?
Well, I'll just start my story for this particular TAP 2D project. How did I get involved?
Yeah.
Becoming the Poet Laureate last year, I always look for events in which to get involved with. And we get in a lot of events in the museum. We do a lot of ekphrastic work with shows that are coming to the museum. For instance, right now we're doing it with the New York show that is there. It's the avant-garde artists that we're also featuring the poets of the avant-garde in New York in mid-century. So we have a show coming up at the museum in the main gallery that's going to be featuring music, poetry, art, and we're going to be walking around to the various art pieces. So we've done this several times in the museum, and it's a great collaboration. We're told that they really enjoy having us in the museum, kind of broadening the scope of the exhibits that are there, and including, of course, some literary art. So we're proud to do that, and we love doing it, and we do it pretty much for free, which is great because we love doing it, and that's what our mission is, to bring poetry to the people and to have more people involved. So we do a lot of performance poetry down in the Foot Gallery in the museum about 4 times a year, and put on several events throughout the year. So we stay in close contact with Suzanne and Jennifer Cosino and many other people, and Maureen Corey and Jenny Dobson at the museum to do this. And then with Daniel, we're doing Encountering a Poet, which are workshops that we do in the library. And we're going to a dementia workshop at the library, and we've been doing several readings and workshops at the library too. So we're really involved. We're all really involved together.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's really neat what you guys do. Thanks, Lynn. Daniel, what about you? Suzanne, what about you? Do you guys have anything you'd like to share on how you got involved in this?
Yeah, I can jump in. I've been at the Loveland Public Library for a little over 2 years now, and I do have an art background, education and teaching painting. So that usually gets me involved in the fine arts when people discover that. And as Lynn was talking about, we've already been working together, and so poetry was on my radar. And then when the poetry became part of the TAP 2D display that's been at the library, that's where I got involved as well. So I've been able to be a part of that jurying process. I was welcomed on board with that, and that was really fun. And so for me, I have some of that knowledge and experience, and I'm always happy to be a part of these kind of fun events and processes and these community things that go on. And Loveland has such a rich art history and so many people who are passionate about the arts and artists that it's really cool to get to tap into that. Even though I'm a public librarian, I still get to enjoy the fine arts, something that these days I don't get to participate a lot in, but this way I still get to enjoy that passion.
Yeah, and that's something that is so cool about Loveland. It's so unique. Even driving around, you can see how the city is very supportive of art. It's really cool. Suzanne, what about you?
Well, I started out intending to be a filmmaker. I grew up in LA, and that is what my initial course of study was in college.
Oh, cool.
When I got out of school, though, I worked for E.F. Hutton, and then I went to go work for public television in Boston.
Wow.
Had a great time there. When I moved to Colorado, I picked up service in a different way, which I started in 1995 working with the city of Louisville. And since that time, I've been in municipal government. I've worked through 3 different cities, but most of my time's been here at Loveland. I've worked here a little over 18 and a half years and in various capacities, but always in the cultural services department. So I started working with public art in 2001. And Lynn was a wonderful companion on the Visual Arts Commission serving as a community volunteer. And I can say that I truly feel that working in public service has been a real blessing to me. I've been able to do things that I never thought possible.
Well,
working in public arts. So great ride.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, thank you all for sharing. I'm so glad that you guys started this collaboration. It sounds like such a great event. For our listeners, definitely head out April 15th to the Loveland Public Library. From noon to 2, they're going to have artists speak. They're having a big display that will go on all year. It's going to be awesome, you guys. If you would like more information, you can head to lovlib.org/events. Again, that's lovlib.org/events. Now, this is kind of a question that anyone can answer. Why do you guys think this event is so important for our community?
I can jump in here. I think that anytime you can bring people together, especially in a space like the public library that's accessible to everyone, and as we've been talking about Loveland and the arts, that's people already have that interest. They're already excited about it. And now they can share that moment together. And then when you get to add poetry on top of that, it really kind of brings in another layer of exploring our world, understanding each other, seeing what's around us. And what a cool way to get to not only see artwork, but then hear, as Lynn said, how these poets were inspired by it. So it's going to be something that I think will be very unique to experience. And then it really kind of crosses all of those interests that this community has and the really kind of powerful way that people express themselves, whether it is the visual arts or whether it is the written word like poetry. So that's why I think it's something that people should really look forward to and pop on down. And I want to mention too that we're looking at ways where we can perhaps have an audio recording of these. So if people aren't able to make the event, there would still be that some kind of audio experience that they could enjoy later on to hear from the artists or hear from the poets. So that might be something that when you come down after this event might be available there, or it might be something that shows up on the Loveland Public Library's podcast feed. So we're trying to extend the life of this as well, even though people should really look forward to this live event.
Absolutely. Well, again,
yes, and it's National Poetry Month. April is National Poetry Month, so it's a really great way to come and kick it off and be a part of it. And I'm always looking for more people who are interested in poetry to get involved, maybe with our committee or with our workshops and the events that we bring to the city.
Now, Lynn, how could they get in contact with you if somebody listening is interested?
Well, our email is lovelandpoetlaureate@gmail.com. And then we have a Facebook page, the Loveland Poet Laureate Facebook page. It's very easy to find, and you don't have to be a member to join it. So
awesome.
You could just come in and find out what's happening in town on the Facebook page. We are developing a web page. We did get a $10,000 grant from the American Academy of Poets. So we are developing a web page, and that's in the process.
Wow.
We've already chosen our books.
Well, that's so great. Well, again, all of you guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know?
Really, we just encourage them to come on down. The exhibit is called Synergy for a reason. Really, it's images and the spoken word combining. And when you do that, there's just something very magical that happens. So if people can come to the dedication on the 15th, I think they're going to have a real treat to not only, as Daniel said, see the artists as well as hear the poetry being read out loud. And I think it's going to be a great day.
Absolutely. Suzanne, Daniel, Lynn, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashlee.
Thank you, Ashlee.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to What Matters in NoCo. I'm Ashlee Meehleis with Townsquare Media's Tuned Into NoCo. If you missed part of the show, you can find it on your Townsquare Media station app or website. If you or your organization would like to be considered for Tuned Into NoCo, send me an email at ashlee.meehleis@townsquaremedia.com. That's ASHLEE.MEEHLEIS@townsquaremedia.com.